Okay, one of my favorite things in the world is to crank the feedback up to just idiot proportions on a delay. And what that means is, feedbacks are like the repeats. So you get a repeat on top of another repeat on top of another repeat. Really, really fun stuff in there. Scary stuff, if you can pull it off. The problem is when these feedback, or when the repeats, the feedback gets out of control, you really can't do anything to stop it. It just keeps on going and going and going, and it smears all over everything else you've got. So it's kind of been, for me, very limiting. I can't use the feedback like I'd want to. Well, we have a solution, and his boss calls it dynamic feedback. And to me, it's one of the most exciting, newest, funnest things out there. All right, let me show you. This is just a little synth thing I've got going, a little electronic noise of mine. We're going to focus on this little piece. Let's turn the delay on. Ah! Okay, we've got feedback right away. Almost like a guitar player feedback, except cheesier sounding. And so what's going to happen here is, well, you hear it. The delay will wash out all over everything when we don't want it to. Okay, I do not want that, but I did want all that scary music sounding business I had going on there. So we have a solution. It's called dynamic feedback, and it works just like a gate. A gate, whenever the signal is below a threshold, we cut that signal off. Well, here, whenever the signal is below the threshold, this little guy, as you can see by the little red dot, whenever we're below the threshold, we'll say, hey, forget your settings in feedback number 1. Let's switch here to feedback number 2. And by doing so, whenever there's no signal coming into this delay, we go ahead and knock that feedback down. And we can do it really fast or really slow. In this case, I'm going pretty subtle, but let's check it out with dynamic feedback on. And again, we're engaging the delay, and you'll notice there's none of that. And the reason being, we are below the threshold, and therefore we are using this feedback, which is a lot more tame. All right, let's check it out. Pretty cool. And you heard a little tail of that feedback at the very end. I could get that out. I kind of like that, so I left it in. Okay, now I have another track. Same type of problem, although a little more musical and less just silly, I guess. Let's listen to this problem. What's going to happen is we have four MIDI little pieces. When those run out, we're going to keep on washing out. It's going to cover up the MIDI part we just heard. So take a listen. So you can hear in the background, it's just this big wash of junk. It sounded really cool for the first couple bars there, but over time the feedback gets a little nuts. So once again, we'll use dynamic feedback. Bink. And you saw how the little threshold light turned on whenever we are below the threshold. Pretty handy. We're going to improve that a little bit, but it's still a good start. Anyhow, so let's listen to it now that I got dynamic feedback going. As soon as there's no signal coming into this thing, or actually the signal below the threshold, we're going to resort to feedback 2. Pretty cool. Watch. Let's see. And as you heard, this pre-chorus section here was so much clearer. We didn't have that big old wash of feedback back there, but we still got the epic sounding stuff here in the verse. So what we've come up with is really creative, really innovative, and I'm really excited about it. It's a way I can use crazy amounts of feedback and really get that over-the-top delay sound where it really sounds like the thing's going to explode or, something wild's going to happen. But at the same time, when we don't want it, it won't be wrecking our other tracks. So make sure you check out dynamic feedback in Boz's Super Delay. I think it's one of the coolest things ever. It's creative, it's new, and different. Find that in any delay or plug-in in 2014. Out.